Welcome back to the Mr. McNugget Show. I'm wearing my headphones. Welcome back to the Mr. McNugget Show. I hope you're well. On today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about my Halloween 6 collection, but again, this is not an extensive collection of this movie. I just don't have a lot of this. It's because it's one that's not as revered in the series, so not as many editions of this movie have come out. Now, I will say that there is a theatrical cut and a producer's cut, and for the longest time, the producer's cut was one you could only get bootlegged at a convention or rip it off of the internet and see this producer's cut of Halloween 6. So, I never had the producer's cut until way, way later. And I'll talk a little bit more about it when I actually get to what becomes the legitimate way of seeing the producer's cut of Halloween 6, which happens on the Scream Factory, Shout Factory 11 disc or whatever it is, the set that I've been talking about in all of these videos from the very first Halloween. Halloween 6 for me is one that, again, I keep saying the same things, and I feel like a broken record here, but this one is one that I appreciate because it is one that I actually saw advertised at movie theaters. Now, I didn't get to go to the theater to see this movie, but I remember seeing the poster art hanging on the walls in the theater, in the lobby areas, and being advertised for when it was to be released. So when it came out on VHS, I snapped it up because I had already really enjoyed all the other Halloween movies, with the exception of 3 again at the time, to that point. So I snapped up a copy of Halloween 6. And again, it was in this VHS copy here. It is one of the Miramax Dimension line. This is that pre-Scream time where they started that Dimension line of videos, or of I guess the studio. It's a piece of the Miramax puzzle, I guess. But I just remember seeing that logo, kind of like the modern media or CBS Fox thing going on at the beginning of the movie. So it was kind of unique in that way that I remember that logo for some reason. It's just kind of ingrained inside of me. Now, before I get on to the digital copies of this movie, I do want to speak a little bit about this film specifically. If ever in the series there was a time to retcon something, this would have been the time. Because now we're in this business of, we retconned 3, 4, 5, and 6 to make Halloween H2O, which we'll get to in the next episode. We could have, instead of retconning 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh gosh, see, I'm even confusing. This is why people get confused over this stuff. I'm confusing myself just talking about it. But 3, 4, 5, and 6 get retconned in Halloween H2O. And then again in Halloween Resurrection, which is that same timeline. And then they retcon everything after the first film for the Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, which just came out. And of course, the Rob Zombie movies just kind of exist on their own timeline. They are essentially remakes in his envisioned world. So it gets confusing for the layperson. It's confusing for people who have been watching these movies their entire lives. It's something that is just bizarre that they would do it now when this would have been the time. And I think this is why this movie suffers for a lot of folks. They should have taken the opportunity to retcon 5 from the timeline, in my opinion, because it's one movie at this point. And it officially would have alleviated this movie of the Man in Black, the Thorn, the Curse of Thorn, all of those things that happened that kind of pigeonholed this movie into something that it didn't. It was baggage this movie didn't need. And I'll tell you why I call it baggage. Because this movie is looked poorly upon when I myself think this could be the scariest Halloween movie. This could be one of the better performed Halloween movies in all of the movies. It has some of the best scares. I'm not even going to consider the kills the best part, but a lot of the best suspenseful kills, again, in my opinion, in the entire franchise happen in this movie. A lot of the creepiest scenes happen in this movie. It's George Wilbur playing the Shape again, which is the same one from Halloween 4, the same stunt person, actor, performer. The mask is its own thing, but very serviceable. And I feel like without the Thorn Cult, without having to circle the wagons on the stuff that was established in Halloween 5, this movie could have had stronger ground to stand on. One performance in particular is, the actor's name eludes me. Let's see if we can find it here because he has a very unique name. You know what? Maybe he is not on the back here. I wonder why he would not be on the back here. You know, they always give Paul Rudd his due in this for being, Paul Stephen Rudd, I'm sorry, in his first film here. But apparently he's not on here. Find that name for me out there in YouTube land. He plays John Strode in this. He is the father of the actress in this who has the child Danny. And I think he is the precursor to what we all started to dislike when we went and saw the Halloween remake by Rob Zombie, where there is a father or a stepfather figure in the house who is just kind of a caricature of the typical terrible dad. You know, he's got the arm in the cast and he's throwing out every slur and every nasty word he possibly can. Very true to Rob Zombie. Love it or hate it, that's just true to Rob Zombie. John Strode, on the other hand, in this movie, I believe plays a very believable middle class, suburban, very, middle of the United States kind of person. Very, very believable. Every bit a scumbag, but in a way that is something that I think can hit close to home for some folks. How distant and how cold he is and how he treats his wife very poorly, but you can tell just by the little bit of interaction with him on the screen that outside of his home, everybody else probably thinks he's just a real stand-up good guy. That was very believable to me. I know they were aping Howard Stern in this movie with the shock jock. It fit the time. This movie also, I believe, depicts the fall season in a Midwestern town as close to or better than many, 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 many movies, certainly any of the Halloween movies I've seen. It just does so much right, but it's saddled to plot baggage that it has to explain its way out of, and ultimately it isn't able to do it. And I know people love the producer's cut, but it still has a lot of issues too. I feel like if these writers had a chance to retcon 5 out of this and use the characters that they have in this movie could have been something special to the masses and not just to geeks like me when it comes to Halloween movies. I've been very wordy on this movie, but I'm kind of passionate about defending this because there's a lot here that I think anybody who likes scary movies should see. This is a great Halloween movie, even though the story is really hard to chew on. The biggest missed opportunity for me here is the fact that you still had Donald Pleasence at this time, and this was his swan song, and a lot of the ending of the movie had to be worked because of the fact that he died. Wow, they could have used Donald Pleasence in such a better way. And that's just the real shame here, but it is what it is. This is the movie that we got in both of its forms, however you want to take it. But there are a lot of great pieces here that I really feel like if you want a good movie that's going to scare you if you've never seen it before, this is the Halloween movie to look at. And excellent artwork as well, by the way, just as a side note. Let's talk about the DVD that I have. It's the same as the VHS. Same artwork on the front, as well as a few other snippets. Let's see, we've got the Paul Rudd with the baby and the gal that he kills first here on the back. Same as on the VHS. But on the VHS, you have Michael Myers holding the nurse up against the little spike in the wall. And on the back of this, you have an imposing Michael Myers with his knife. So a little bit of difference there. This actually has a French language track. So if you want to watch it like you're sitting somewhere in France, oui, oui. And then it also has specifications for widescreen, but legitimately the only special features on this DVD are Spanish subtitles and a French language track. So special features, again, are very sparse, and that's all you have here. And then again, this is the circling of the wagons, as I said I would do at the beginning of this movie, or movie, I'm not making movies, at the beginning of this video. This is the Scream Factory version of this movie, and it comes with theatrical and producer's cut. There are differences in the producer's cut. You will notice them. It will not be hard for you to pick out the differences. However, producer's cut cannot redeem the plot that was kind of set in place for it. So that's my collection of Halloween 6. Again, I don't mean to rain on Halloween 5's parade. I just said I also have a soft spot for that movie, but I feel like if this movie had been the one to retcon 5 out of the timeline, continued forward with something with Jamie Lloyd and the characters they had already put in this film, it could have been something really special. And Halloween 5 could have just existed as that strange one-off. It could have been the George Lazenby of this 007 world. It's the one-off. It sits all by itself, kind of like another Halloween 3, but with Michael Myers in it, because Halloween 5 is a movie that tried to do things, and I do appreciate it for trying to go outside of the box, but ultimately, it set it forth on a path where there were not many routes to get back on level ground with telling a story. And as we all know, Michael Myers sells, the Halloween franchise sells, and if you were going to need to make more movies, that wasn't going to be the road to do it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing the next one for Halloween Water. H2O.